The fourth-ranked Miami Hurricanes will travel to Atlanta to take on the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech. Miami is about an 11-point favorite, total 63.5. The game will be played noon Eastern time on ESPN. The all-time series I found interesting. The all-time series being tied at 14, with the Hurricanes holding an 11-8 advantage since joining the ACC. That felt surprising. But then I thought, all right, Paul Johnson, triple option, like they had some good years there for a little while, but my goodness, it just felt like Miami would have a sizable advantage in the historical matchups, right? Now, last year, we all remember last year, Georgia Tech stole a victory from Miami, or you could say Miami gift-wrapped the victory and handed it to Georgia Tech. They won that game 23-20, 44-yard touchdown pass from Haynes King to Christian Leary with about a second left after Miami fumbled trying to run out the clock. Now, Miami's trying to win 10 games for the 8th time in program history, second time since joining the ACC. So big opportunity for Miami. Before we even get into the questions, I just have to know, is Haynes King back for Georgia Tech? Because if Haynes King isn't back, we're almost wasting our time breaking this thing down, because the Yellow Jackets with Haynes King out of the lineup, they've scored 19 points in the last 2 games. They've lost both games. Now, with Haynes King in the lineup, they're averaging nearly 33 points a game and nearly 450 yards of offense. So a very different group with the veteran Haynes King under center. But let's operate under the assumption that Haynes King is playing. Number one, can Georgia Tech run the football and create big plays off of it, right? We know that Georgia Tech has speed. They got a lot of speed. They got guys that can run, including Haynes King. Malik Rutherford's great in catch and run situations, screen game, short throws, allowing him to kind of get jet sweeps, you name it. Malik Rutherford's a handful with the ball in his hands, and then Eric Singleton's a guy that can get behind the defense. That complements really solid with a run game that's really, really stingy and that can give you a lot of misdirection. The problem is Miami is top 10 against the run. So will you be able to run the ball enough against Miami? The good news for Georgia Tech is that Miami is 76th in QBR allowed. So they can get beat through the air, but the one thing you can't do against Miami is allow big plays to develop, because they've sacked the opposing quarterback 27 times. So going to have to get the ball out quick, going to have to run the ball, going to have to be able to create some misdirection. They can move the pocket a bunch. That will all be helpful for Haynes King and this Georgia Tech offense. Then question 2, can Georgia Tech do anything to contain or affect Cam Ward? Now, Georgia Tech's biggest Achilles last year was their rush defense. But they've improved that side significantly. They're one of the most improved units in the country against the run. Now, the problem is that while they're improved against the run, they have now started to suffer through the air. They also have had a hard time rushing the passer. They're 93rd in pressure rate. They're allowing a 13-2 touchdown to interception ratio, and they are 119th in QBR allowed. So that's not great. When you're also, as a quarterback, not super concerned about getting hit, and the opposing team only has 11 sacks, that means that if I'm Cam Ward, I can stay back there for a little while, and I'm not super worried about having to get the ball out quick, make quick decisions. I can buy time. I can allow my guys to uncover down the field, and I just have a hard time thinking that Georgia Tech won't get picked apart by Cam Ward and this passing attack that has so many different options and so many different weapons. A couple trends in the game. Miami is 5-1 against the spread as a double-digit favorite this season. And Georgia Tech, traditionally a really good underdog. They're most of the time always a live underdog, especially as a double-digit home underdog. They're 3-0 against the spread, 2-1 straight up as a home underdog this season. Miami's game this year, they have featured 630 points scored by both them and their opponents. It's third most in the country behind New Mexico and Texas Tech. I think Georgia Tech, if Haynes King can play, will score. I expect a high-scoring affair. But I don't think Georgia Tech's going to get nearly as many stops as Miami's going to get, and I think Miami's going to enter this game really ticked off about what went down last year in Coral Gables, where they gift-wrapped this one away. I think Miami wins, and I think Miami wins big.